What up? Big Herc 916. Positivity, motivation, never settle for average. You know how we do it over here. Go to bigherc916.com, pick you up some merch, represent, or hit me up about an art piece, because I get down with that paint. You can pick up a special art piece on my site or hit me up to commission a piece. Or you can grab a bar of soap from the site with a purchase and wash your ass. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Share the channel. I'm always lacing you up over here, trying to bring you game based on my life experiences and reflecting to give you some insight on things that you maybe don't think about. And I was just talking with a good friend of mine earlier today, and we were talking about just the power of social media and how we look at things now so much differently than how we looked at them as juveniles. And no matter how much you think you know at a certain age, there's always something that you can learn from an elder or an old head or an OG or a mentor. But it takes a certain amount of putting aside the ego to realize that you don't know everything before you get the life lessons. And it's hard when you're young to feel like you're not knowledgeable about everything you think you're knowledgeable about, or about how you feel the choices you make are the best choices, better than what somebody else could tell you to make. And I know that as a young person, peer pressure is a very real thing. And you could have a loving parent at home, you could have a great household, but if you are around a certain element in the street and the desire to feel accepted by that element, it can compromise you. It can have you participating in things you wouldn't normally participate in. I ran across a lot of different kids when I was in juvenile hall. A lot of different kids. And one of the things I realized that a lot of the kids had in common was that they were searching for an identity. And in my era, the identity usually evolved around being a gang member. If it wasn't being a gang member, it was an athlete. And then sometimes it was an athlete and a gang member. So if you base your identity off of something that's associated with violence and a certain disposition, the likeliness of you getting caught up is very high. And so, it only takes a matter of time before you slip up, somebody tells on you, or something happens that puts you in the system. Crack was really big when I was growing up in the 80s, and it wasn't like I was around crack all the time. I mean, I didn't see crack for the first time until probably 1988, and I had never seen it, didn't know what it looked like. And it was a trip because I'm looking at these little rocks and I'm thinking, wow, these rocks are worth X amount of dollars. And I should have been doing my homework, being that I was a straight A student as a freshman in trigonometry and chemistry, but I wanted to be like the dudes at the park, the guys I seen getting the girls at the school, the niggas who were doing the R. Kelly shit. They graduated 2-3 years before and they coming up there getting at the high school cheerleaders. I wanted to be them dudes, but not coming back up to the high school after I graduated, but be the guy that these girls looked up to. But I was just little Marcus. So I was in conflict with, should I play sports, continue to play sports, which, you know, I didn't have the greatest confidence as far as, you know, being a professional athlete, because I didn't have that push really, like, oh, you know, I just played because it was something to do. I was decent, but I was very good at English, you know, in the books. I was good with economics class. I was very good in school, but I would see guys at school with wads of money, new clothes every day. These dudes coming up to the school at lunchtime with mini trucks, with the beat, Inkies on low profile tires, and, you know, just flossing El Caminos on D's, and the Cutlasses on Zeniths and Vogues. I was fascinated by that shit, you know, even though it wasn't really about anything, but it was for a square guy who used to skateboard and ride BMX bikes and was now trying to play sports. It was like, wow, what is this? You know, if I would have stuck with skateboard, who knows? But that had a pull that attracted me to the streets. And so I went on a hunt to figure out how could I get into that life. It wasn't just in front of my face. My mom worked 2 jobs, you know, she was busting ass. I was going to school, helping watch my brother and sister. I wasn't a bad kid, but it's just that overexposure. And it only takes a little bit of time for you to be an impression. It doesn't take a whole lot. You don't have to grow up in it. You can be around it for a certain amount of time and it can have a hell of an impression on you. So for me, I went on a search, found a hookup, decided to use my little lunch money allowance to go buy some crack, got into the crack game, took that 20, turned it into 40, took that 40, turned it into 80, took that 80, turned it into 160, took that 160, turned it into 320. And by the end of the day, I had like almost $400 in my pocket. And I was like, this is crazy, man. I mean, these people are twice my age, maybe 3 times my age, and they're buying crack from me. And then I go home and do my homework. And I know for young people out there, they're like, oh man, you know, it seems like, you know, that might be empowering or exciting. And I see these guys on a lot of these social media platforms glorifying that. I'm not glorifying it, man. I was just thinking like, man, what if I would have sold crack? What if I would have had more of an opportunity to be exposed to the educational side and took maybe my math skills or my English skills to the next level? You know, and I eventually did. I wrote a couple books, wrote a script. I've written a lot of things, you know, I draw and I paint, but because I was in those streets, I missed out on a lot of those God-given talents. And we all have God-given talents that we overlook because we're focused on just maybe what we see other people doing: football, basketball, baseball, soccer. Not everybody's gonna be an athlete. You might have the talent to write music. You might have the talent to come up with the next type of energy that changes the world. Who knows what you come up with? Maybe a cure for cancer. But your surrounding environment plays a major factor. And that's why I did a video about parents. If you have to sacrifice to move your children to a better environment, and I'm not saying that it's a solution, but it's giving them an opportunity. And you want just at least have the opportunity to have the potential to win. So, we talk, me and my good friend, we talk all the time just about different perspectives and about how certain things are put out there to attract young people. And when you talk about culture and about being successful, there's been a war going on to show that success, especially in the Black community, is evolved around violence, drugs, sports, and music. If you're not a rapper, if you're not a drug dealer, you're not an athlete, then there's no success. I never met, growing up, anybody who's a real estate agent. I never met anybody who owned their own corporation. I never met an accountant. I don't think I met a doctor, a lawyer. These people, these titles, when you have those type of people coming and sitting down and having dinner with you at family functions, at mentoring sessions, it changes your life. And I know that when I did have the opportunity to meet accountants, doctors, lawyers, the conversations I had with them changed my life. But it changed it at a later date because I didn't meet them till later. But if you could have met these people when you were 12, 13, 10, man, just imagine what you could have possibly visualized yourself doing. A lot of people don't visualize themselves ever being a doctor, a dentist, an orthodontist, a heart specialist. Why not? Is it something because that never pops in your head? Oh man, you could be an artist. What do you mean I could be an artist? You can actually make money doing art. You could be an architect. What do you mean you could design buildings that you see in the downtown area? It's so important to give hope and to show that there are people that believe in you, that look like you, that can do things you never thought you could do because you didn't know that those things were available to you. You have a lot of options, but you think your options are limited. And that's why you do a lot of the things you do sometimes, because you don't realize what else is out there. There are careers, there are things that people have extreme amounts of success, and it doesn't have to do with how fast you can run, how high you could jump, dunking a basketball, scoring a touchdown. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do about 16 bars. It's nothing to do with that. There are very successful people that aren't in those particular genres that are balling out of control. But you have to put yourself around that which you are familiar with to understand that. And a lot of that falls on the parents. And that's why they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree a lot of times. You are a product of that which you are most impressioned by. And I just like to put stuff out there so you guys can think like, wow, maybe I can do this or do that. And even if you don't go to college, doing trades, You could have a pawn shop. There's people who are millionaires from pawn shops, buying other people's stuff who, they're getting rid of and loaning them money. And when they default, you keep the product and resell it. And literally, people are balling from pawn shops. So many things out there. And it doesn't have to be sports. It doesn't have to be rap. So I just want to give you guys something to think about over the holidays. What I used to do sometimes is go into Barnes and Noble and just walk around and look at the different genres of books to see if something on the shelf jumped out at me. And if it did, I would pick it up, read like a little bit in the book to see if it was something that would spark my interest. And I would take it home and read it. And if I read through like a chapter or two, I knew that night that I knew that book was something that was meant to be. If it was something that felt slow or kind of like, not as smooth, then I'm like, oh, maybe this ain't the book. But there's nothing wrong with exploring the unexplored to see where your mind takes you. So many opportunities, man, and we limit ourselves based on what we see. What about that which you don't see? Think about that. I like to see y'all win, so I put these videos so you guys can think and find that drive within you, that gut that makes you feel like, man, I'm alive, I'm living, and it doesn't involve anything violent or anything, that's gonna get you caught up. Because you don't have to have drama in order to have success. But just a little something I was thinking of, man, talking to the homie today and thinking about at the juveniles, the shit we were doing and the people that was around us. And even when I used to, be selling crack and I would see guys drinking at the park, alcohol, it just didn't seem right. Even then I felt like I knew I wasn't supposed to be there, but I was still there. I never drank a 40. I didn't smoke cigarettes, didn't pick up the weed. I wasn't into really all that, shit talking, playing dominoes. I wasn't really into all that, man. I could play bones, I could, talk shit when I needed to, but if you don't necessarily feel comfortable doing that stuff, it doesn't mean that you're a square, you're a lame, or you're a poo butt. It just means that, it ain't for you. That's all. It ain't keeping it 100 because man, look, do you in life, man, and to hell with everybody else and what they try to tell you you're not and what they try to put you in, what type of box they try to put you in, man. Don't let nobody put you in no box, man. Do you. Big Herc 916. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button, man. Share the channel, man. Happy holidays. What's up, everybody? Big Herc 916, getting down with Fresh Out. For the past 10 years, we've been trailblazing on YouTube, interviewing ex-cons with hopes of persuading people from a life of crime. Over at Fresh Out, we really care about the people. So we decided to create Fresh Out Ministry as a nonprofit and help troubled youth and families in need. This holiday season, if you want to make a difference in someone's life, go to freshoutseries.com and make a donation, and you will receive a verification letter with the amount of your donation, and yes, it is a tax write-off. We will provide you with that information. We know that holidays for a lot of families are very troubling, and people are struggling sometimes dealing with all the different things going on with the economy. So let's make a difference and bring joy to a family out there in need. Go to freshoutseries.com, make a donation, and let's bring some joy this holiday season. I didn't start off as a bad kid. Officially, I only got one real spanking my entire life. My mom did the best a 14-year-old could do, raising me with love and instilling values that will last a lifetime. I was a straight A student and lived to make her happy. So how did I go astray? A horrible stepdad that stole my self-worth and invoked fear turned me into a person that I struggled to overcome. From skateboarding to selling drugs, gang banging in juvenile hall, I got caught the same way many young promising men get caught up. I struggled to find my identity, getting mixed up in shootouts, crime, and the adult entertainment industry. This roller coaster continued as I juggled college, hustling, and Hollywood, eventually catching a federal bank robbery case. I found redemption in prison while serving a 120-month federal sentence and came out a man on a mission. I became a social media influencer with over 500 million views on YouTube and a life coach mentoring people all over the world. This is my journey against all odds.
Are you tired of smelling funky? Have you lost your ad? Go to bigkirkanalysis.com and get to Nutsack Run.